Hi, I'm Cameron Bai. I have been working in security operations for about 4.5 years now, exclusively within the SOC space. So I've worked as a junior analyst all the way up to a SOC manager and everything in between. Back in the day when I was an analyst, it would be, your traditional level 1 through to level 3. So getting involved in various stages of the incident response process, reporting to clients on the SIEM activity, a bit of vulnerability management as well. More recently, however, looking at team lead to SOC manager, it's definitely been less of the technical side in terms of hands-on on the incident, more looking at the wider picture, looking at the service, the value that we can add and provide to customers, making sure the SOC is a good place for analysts to work, and just managing the team really. Oh yeah, so I mean SOC. You can get obviously different kinds of SOCs. With the MSSP SOC, which is traditionally where I've worked in, it's selling the services to the customers. So we are essentially an extension of their security team. This is how I like to look at it: is we integrate ourselves with the client. We have very close relationships with them, collaborate on incidents, processes, things like that, and really get to understand them as a company and a team. And that naturally provides avenues for us to not just provide value in our day-to-day SOC, but to look at where else we can add value in the SOC. So if we're looking at particular threat intelligence or threat hunting pieces, providing a particular kind of report on a threat that we know they're facing, that all comes through getting to know them. So primarily it is, as I said, just through being an extension of the customer security team. And internally, it's the same. It's providing that security service to the company that we work for. Detecting breaches, responding to them effectively, and hopefully detecting them as soon as possible. It is, and this is a bit of a cliche, but every single day is completely different. More so on the analyst side, to be fair. But even being a team lead and a manager now, every day has its new challenges, and I think that keeps it really fresh and it keeps it exciting. It comes with its fair dose of stress, sure, but you learn to. Everyone, I'm sure, has their own process on how they deal with these new challenges and new threats that come up. And as long as the process is good, then that can kind of carry you through that. But definitely for me, it's the fact that every day can be different. So I think I've been a bit of a weird one compared to probably a lot of people in the industry. So I started out, as I said, as a junior analyst. I didn't get a certification really until last year. Most entirely, all my knowledge had just been what I've been managed to learn myself and learn off of other people. And I think that's definitely helped me more, on the job, has been asking people questions, finding the right people to mentor me, and then returning that favor down the line. So in terms of certifications that I've had, which have definitely helped me, I guess, more find a job or move on from a place, has been CYSA Plus, cybersecurity analyst course from CompTIA. In the future as well, I think CISP is definitely one that I'm going to be looking at, just because it's the one that people look for, and it will teach you so much on the process as well. I think it's the same with all roles really, and all that I've done so far from junior analyst up is just keep an open mind to learn. And it's essentially it's just continue what I've been doing, continue learning off other people, asking questions. I think more now it's about getting out into the industry as a whole and learning how people do their business to understand the service side of things. And as I mentioned, CISP, it makes sense that the further you go up in the chain, the wider your knowledge needs to become. So I think for me personally, as I've said, I've been primarily a SOC guy, which is great, and I love that. But I think it makes logical sense for me to branch out and start to get to grips with other areas of security. So I think recently, when I've been moving up to more into the management side, I've become a little bit less technical and a little bit less hands-on with the incidents, and I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed being in the trenches, pulling my hair out, trying to understand what was going on. Strangely enough, so I'm still involved, but it's a different capacity. And I think one of the challenges that I now face is keeping. One of the big problems in SOC particularly is analyst burnout, and getting people to really stay and buy into what you're doing. I've been there on the side of an analyst and have seen how burnout can affect you on a personal level, and it's not great, because you work at good companies, you want to stay there, but you can just get burnt out and things don't work out. So I think from how I take that challenge into what I'm trying to do is, when I'm building SOCs or managing a team or leading a team, is to really, with my experience as an analyst, build a team that I would want to work in as an analyst and would want to work in long term. So whether that's creating efficient processes, whether that's utilizing automation to reduce alert fatigue, or just really giving people a voice. I think sometimes that can be important and make them feel like they're part of the team and they get a say. But yeah, I definitely say that's the biggest challenge to face and to combat, really. Sure. So as a SOC, every SOC will utilize a SIEM tool, and there are loads of ones you can use. So IBM QRadar is probably one of my favorites that I've used. I'm sure there are probably better ones out there. I just haven't found them yet. There's also SOAR tools, so security orchestration, automated response. Had a look at quite a few of those, and it's going back to the previous challenge that I mentioned, it's an important tool to combat analyst fatigue, as well as providing all the efficiency savings and time savings that you'll get. But beyond that, those you don't even really need a SOAR tool. SIEM's really the basic one that we use, and anyone that wants to understand more about SIEM, I understand it's not something you can just kind of stumble across, but things like QRadar, for example, they have a community edition available you can download and run as a virtual machine. They've got loads of documentation and videos for people to watch and get to grips with that. Every analyst will come up and create their own sort of process, their own internal kind of logical process as to how they attack an incident, and how they choose to respond to it. Of course, process plays a part for sure, but I think every analyst will have their own gears grinding in their head when they go through that. But I think on a personal level, so that obviously helps with the incident side, but on a personal level, it's definitely been keeping an open mind and just not being afraid to ask questions, because I think, I've worked in a few SOCs and each of them have their own, how do I say this? Their own, they're unique, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So you can't go in with a closed mind. Just because something's worked out in a previous place doesn't mean it's going to work doesn't mean it's going to work this time. So it's all about adapting, keeping an open mind, and asking questions. And I think if that kind of transcends throughout pretty much the whole of the SOC, if you can do those, you'll get on well. So I think for me, I've obviously along the way there have been lots of achievements that I'm proud of. But I think as an overall journey, I think I'm proud of coming in as a junior analyst. With I didn't go to university, I did an apprenticeship in generic IT. So I came in to cyber with very little experience and kind of had to work very hard to learn everything from people, but also learning things the hard way, making mistakes, and bouncing back from those. So I think my biggest achievement is definitely that process of coming through from junior analyst and just continuing to progress up the chain. Yeah, I think I mentioned it a few times, to be honest, but I've worked with a lot of analysts, and I've worked with people that know a lot of things, and they're very, very, very technical. And I've also worked with people that are less technical but are very, very keen to learn. And I think that is, personally, when I'm hiring people, I like to see that hunger. I like to see people that have a clear passion and a clear desire to better themselves. And I think when you're in a SOC, you do have a lot of free time. There are sometimes, if you're looking at it purely from an instant response point of view, you're not having an incident every half an hour. So there's a lot of proactive work that can be done. And if you've got that hunger and you've got that passion to learn, go away and find things, research, and essentially follow what you're interested in, then that's going to take you so much further than someone that has potentially just done all the certifications. That's my personal opinion.